Hey guys, welcome to It's a Bronx Story.
A podcast by two lifelong Yankee fans about all things Yankees.
All right, so it's obviously been a little bit since we last recorded an episode, kind of due to being busy with work, and then I was out of town for a bit without any internet access. So, as a result, we have quite a few series to talk about. We have the Athletics, the one game against the Astros, the Guardians series, the Pirates, and then the four games we just played against the Red Sox. Since we have so many games to talk about, as well as we do want to talk about some possible deadline moves slash players that we've been thinking about, as well as the All Star selections, we're just kind of doing something a little different this episode and just talk about the last 2 weeks as a whole, some of the biggest things that we've noticed, and kind of some big holes that we've also noticed recently, and then we'll move into that other stuff. So I guess I think a good way to do it is we can just start off with like what's the biggest thing that we've noticed about
I
the
mean, I,
Yankees over the last 2 weeks.
I think the biggest thing for me was just how much our pitching has regressed. Like Tyone has seemed
Yeah.
to just not have it. Like his ERA went from 2.2 to now a 3.9. It's
Yeah.
something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think it's specifically starting pitching. I don't think our
Mm-hmm.
bullpen
Mm-hmm.
has regressed too much. Obviously, there were a couple of these Red Sox games, and here and there, like they're not going
Mm-hmm.
to be perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
and it's specifically Tyone. Like
And
Montgomery he's still been
Cortez has also sort of regressed as well.
but Cortez has had he had like three
Mhm.
not great starts,
Mhm.
and he had one or two good starts sprinkled in that span.
Yeah.
Tyone has just had like he's given up 20 runs in the last 27
Yeah.
innings he's pitched.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yep.
just hasn't been good at all the last
Mhm.
like month and a half.
Mhm.
So that's concerning. Nestor also like he has regressed too, but not a crazy amount. Monty's
Mhm.
just kind of still been a consistent
Yeah.
low three guy, I think, from
Mhm.
what I can recall. But Sevy and Cole have
Yeah.
both they've been good. Like
Yeah.
Cole didn't have a great start in game one against Boston, but that was literally Rafi Devers. It was like the Vlad Jr. game
Yeah.
earlier in the season. Like
Yep.
and the second home run that Devers hit, the 3 run home run, wasn't even that bad of a
Yeah.
pitch.
Yep.
Like it sometimes you just get beat by a good player. Devers has Cole's number. In the
Mhm.
future we just need to walk him when
Mhm.
his opening day, I remember the same thing happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think I turned to you. I was like, I have a bad feeling about this,
no,
and I had the same
I said
feeling.
that to you. I was
Oh, you said, oh,
when
okay.
Devers came up, I was like, I don't feel too good about this, and then he had a home run. It's, I mean, Devers clearly has his number. We got to work around that, but overall, it's really been Tyone and then a sprinkle of Nestor in this
Mhm.
regression. But like
Yeah.
overall, the pitching just hasn't been as locked down as it was for a
Mhm.
while. Hopefully, it's
Mhm.
just a bump in the road, but
Yeah.
that
So.
that I was just gonna say, I think that leads us into our first trade deadline
Mhm.
topic of like, do you think we should go out and try and get a starter?
I absolutely think we should get a starter. I think that is priority number one for me. It's just getting another.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been, even if our pitching was really good, it's still a priority just because you don't want to have guys run out of gas, right? By the end of the season, you can't live with just five pitchers throughout the whole season. Like guys are going to get hurt, people are going to fatigue. You figure that guys are going to be on an innings limit at some point just because Cortez hasn't pitched 200 innings.
Yeah,
Tyone either. So you're gonna have to expect that. So I
yeah.
thought we always needed pitching, but now especially during this rough patch, we need
So
another starter.
the interesting thing though is now we're in the position like we were talking about earlier in the season. If we're gonna do a 6 man rotation or
Mm-hmm.
if we need pitching help at some point, call up Clark Schmidt or JP Sears.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it worth bringing one of those guys up for the next month
Oh,
and just
I think
see if they've
we
got
should
it?
still we should still do that as we're working the phones. Just
Yeah.
to I think it's beneficial to have a 6 man rotation. I think Clark Schmidt is the first guy that I call up to give a shot in the rotation for that.
But do you think they might lean JP Sears just because he's been the guy they've been calling out for the
It,
six
it
man and
seems
he's been
it's
good?
Yeah, I mean, I like Schmidt's stuff better. It just
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it does seem like the Yankees do favor JP Sears, and it's also we've seen him pitch as well. He's pitched really
Yeah,
well, so
and
I don't have an issue with either guys taking that spot.
I do think the reason JP has been called up recently is because he is stretched out, and Clark, I think they're still working on
Mm-hmm.
getting him stretched out from being in the
Yeah.
bullpen earlier in the season. But
Mm-hmm.
if they're thinking about trading for a starter, which they probably should be, I do think it's worthwhile to just call up one of our guys for the next. But they'd probably be able to make like three starts, three or
Yeah.
four starts if they really wanted to like work them in as fast as possible, just to see what we're working with. Because if JP Sears or Clark Schmidt come up for 3-4 games and are just lights out every game, it might be
Mm-hmm.
worth just saving our prospects for
Yeah.
a different trade versus giving them all up for like Luis Castillo.
Yeah, and that's probably the two pitchers that's probably top of the list are Frankie Montas. Although now he's injured. Did you see that?
I did.
Uh, so he's injured, and then there's Luis Castillo, who's looked really good this year, but you saw how he was the first half. And I guess there's Tyler Molly, who's
Yep.
also with the Reds, so that's also another option. But I don't really like him
Hmm.
in that I think he's just a homer prone pitcher, and I think
Yeah.
he's going to be a Sonny Gray 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to.
But it's interesting though because if he succeeds in Great American, which is most
Mm-hmm.
certainly a hitter friendly ballpark,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. Yeah, but I do think Luis Castillo
He
is kind
doesn't
of.
succeed in Great American. It's his road starts are
Oh,
phenomenal.
okay,
He's bad at home.
okay, fair, fair. So, I mean, it kind of leaves us with like Luis Castillo is like
Yeah,
the only real option.
yeah. I mean, there's maybe Perez, Martin
Yeah,
Perez
I was
from
thinking
the
about him, but
Rangers.
like, how many years does he have? Is he like a one and done
I think
guy?
he's I think he's a free agent, I believe.
Hmm.
So and he's also a veteran. I don't think he cost a lot, although he's doing great for the Rangers so far. It's just, do I believe in
I
him?
think he's a Sonny Gray type of player where he's pitching,
Mm-hmm.
or Joey Gallo, where he's
Mm-hmm.
playing in like a meaningless on a meaningless team where he has no
Mm-hmm.
pressure. That if he goes to
Yeah.
New York, you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
flirting with danger. Now, I think
Yeah.
Luis Castillo is the type of guy where like his stuff is just so good
It
that I
plays.
don't
Yeah.
think it's a mind game thing. He's just really good.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said earlier, it might not be worth trading the prospects that the Reds are going to want for him
Mm-hmm.
if JP Sears
Because
or Clark Schmidt can.
he's arbitration eligible through 2023. So
Yeah,
he has another
he's not
year
going to be
after
cheap.
this. So yeah, exactly. He's not going to be cheap. And then Tyler Molly, I think, is the same exact situation, although he's a lesser player. So it'll cost less that way, but I don't think he's a major upgrade
Yeah, Molly's
from
like
one of our
trading for J
internal.
Happ.
Yeah, like I don't think he's a better option than our internal
Yeah,
options. Martin Perez, even though he's been really good this year, I still feel like he's going to turn into a pumpkin where he's not better than our
yeah,
internal options. So it only
and
leaves you with Montas and Castillo, at least in my
yeah,
mind.
because you need somebody that's better than our four.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going with a 5-man rotation for the
Nope.
playoffs. That's all we don't care about anything other than winning the World Series. So
Mm-hmm.
if he's not better than Cortez or Monty, like whoever this
Mm-hmm.
possible player is, then they're not worth trading
Yeah,
for.
yeah, because they're not going to be on our roster
Yeah,
at come playoff time. So why give up the
yeah,
prospects for him?
exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of pitching in a nutshell. Our bullpen, I mean, if we want to trade for a bullpen guy that Matt
You could
Blake
always use
thinks,
it. There's probably
yeah,
David Robertson. I know Chapman's coming back and he's still
mm,
working through some things. He kind
there's
of had some bad luck against the Red Sox, but even beforehand, he's kind of he's still working through some things.
who's the I feel like isn't there a pitcher for the Diamondbacks that's been doing really well?
Montply?
Yes,
Oh,
Mantiply. Mantiply is like a Matt Blake dream. I think he's like a
mm-hmm,
big sinker guy.
mm-hmm,
Um, he's someone I could see them trading for. David Robertson,
mm-hmm.
Bednard or Stratton from the
You,
Pirates.
here's the thing. I know we're probably going to talk about outfield later, but
Mhm.
Reynolds and Bednar, I know they're being dangled out there, but the Pirates, their division, if I'm the Pirates, I'm
Yeah.
thinking you have a little bit of a core coming. The division is kind of wide open coming up. It doesn't like the Brewers are not going to retain everyone. Their
Yeah.
window is going to be closing. The St. Louis doesn't look as good as they've looked in years past. The Cubs and Reds are not in it. I'm looking at it. I'm just like, I should be going for it. Like, I don't think they should be rebuilding at this point. I would, unless
I
you're like, though that I guess maybe Bednar because closers, relievers are so fickle.
yeah.
You never know when they're gonna turn bad. So maybe this
Mhm.
is his like highest return. But Reynolds, there's no way I'm trading Reynolds if I'm the
Yeah,
Pirates.
I mean, I'm completely on board with you. I wouldn't trade their best, like their key players right
Mm-hmm.
now, but it's also the Pirates, so you never know what they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do. Um,
Yeah.
and like Brian Reynolds just got hurt. Who knows how long he's gonna be out for?
Mm-hmm.
Obliques can
Yeah.
sometimes be
Yeah.
like a month or two. That's gonna
And
hurt his value.
even when you come back,
Yeah,
you always have the thought in your mind that you're going to re-injure it. You remember when
yeah.
Judge had the oblique injury? You don't want to rush those things, so
And
he could be, out for a while.
if I'm the Pirates, I'm not trading. Say I'm trading with the Yankees. This is a
Mm-hmm.
situation that Yankees fans hate, but if I'm the
Mm-hmm.
Pirates, I'm not trading Brian Reynolds for anything less than
Mm-hmm.
like Volpe or Dominguez to
Yeah.
begin. Like that's the
Yeah.
beginning of the package. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be another one of those things where like after the deadline, there's going to be reports saying, "Oh, Brian Cashman called in about Brian Reynolds,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like Volpe plus, and he didn't want to do that." And Yankees fans are going to be
Yeah.
like, "No one wants to trade with the Yankees," but for the Pirates,
Mm-hmm.
that makes complete sense. Like you
Yeah.
don't trade him
Yep.
unless it's for a great return.
Exactly. Like I said, I think their window is approaching. The
Yeah,
vision's wide open. You don't give up a core player like that for cheap,
yeah,
and he's not going to come cheap.
yeah. I think it'd have to be like Volpe or Peraza would have to
Mm-hmm.
be included in that because they
Mm-hmm.
need someone that's close to being MLB ready in like the next year or
Mm-hmm.
two. And
Yeah.
either one of them could play second base for them,
Mm-hmm.
unless O'Neill Cruz is going to be moved at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But Key Brian Hayes has third base locked down. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think a nice bounce back, like shuffle point off of that is let's talk about the outfield. And
Mm-hmm.
ever
Yeah.
since
Well,
June, Aaron Hicks has been a
yeah.
good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think because of the way Hicks has been playing, it's not as much of a priority for me right now because if it come playoff time, Judge is playing center field,
yeah,
which also is increasing his value come free agency because
that's
if
another
you're
thing we
playing
gotta
center
talk about.
field,
Yeah,
right? But right field, Stanton, Judge, and then Hicks, the way he's playing, he's looked like a very good hitter. He's going to be playing left field, and then
mm-hmm.
the Yankees infield situation and DJ's the DH.
Yeah,
So I don't think the outfield is a very key need. The one thing I want to improve is shortstop, and I'm not sure where do you improve there because there's Brandon Drury has been insane this year, but he's not a shortstop.
nope, yeah, no.
And who else is out there? Jorge Mateo
I
for
mean,
the
it's
Orioles. Are the Orioles even trying to trade? I mean, we've had that conversation, me and you internally. It's like, should they even be trading? They're 2 games under 500.
yeah, no, I don't think they should. And the Twins are in it enough to the point where
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make sense for them to trade. I mean, they're in first place. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to trade Correa, and
Mm-hmm.
he hasn't even been that good this year. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
then just like running through a list of teams. I mean, the
yeah. I'm just looking.
Blue
Yeah.
Jays aren't going to trade Bichette, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, the Tigers aren't going to trade Javi Baez. They're not going to get anything worthwhile out of him. The White
Yeah.
Sox aren't trading Tim Anderson. The Royals, like Nicky Lopez, does he
Mm-hmm.
play shortstop?
Well, I guess. Well, I guess Mondesi went out. I'm not following the Royals that much actually to even know. I think he can play shortstop, but is he better than IKF at this point? I don't know. Is
He's
it
got better
marginally better?
speed. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Nicky Lopez was like pretty good last year.
Was he?
Not like a great player,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he was he has a career. Oh, hold on. He has a 577 OPS this year and a 235 batting average. Never mind. Um,
Yeah, I just don't think there's any shortstops available. I like the only guy that came to mind is Jury and Mateo, and Jury's probably more better suited for the outfield. So
mhm.
if you want to replace Hicks with Jury, okay, but the way Hicks has been playing, yeah, he looks much better. I want
Yeah,
to improve shortstop. There's no shortstop to improve right now.
exactly. Yeah, I Oswald Peraza. That's
Yeah, it's only
the
internally.
only
Yep.
that Oswald
Yep.
Peraza is our only hope at improving, and they're just
Hmm.
not. I'm annoyed that they haven't done it yet.
Hmm.
Especially like I'm glad Glaber didn't go to the IL.
Hmm.
But like, I wonder if he did go to the IL, if they would have called up Praza. I doubt they would have because they don't
Hmm.
like doing anything that makes me happy. But like, we have to see what he's doing well in AAA. You didn't
Hmm.
trade for a shortstop because you felt so confident in them. So when he's
Hmm.
playing well at the level below the majors, you
Yeah.
you backed yourself into a corner where you have to see if he can
Yeah.
compete.
Hmm.
Like,
No, I agree. Yeah. And I think he is better than IKF the way he looks in the minors. I mean, I
yeah,
it feels like he should be coming up.
he's
And
faster. I think he's a better defender from what I've seen.
mhm,
And I mean, he's hitting better at AAA than IKF is in the majors, but like that's not a
mhm,
fair
mhm,
comparison. But the other
mhm,
two, those translate. Like your defense at AAA and your
mhm,
speed at AAA isn't going to get worse in the majors.
mhm. Yeah.
Maybe defense a little bit because players hit the ball harder, but
Mhm.
like if you're a good defender, you're a good defender.
Yeah.
So it's just the difficult part is how do you get him on the team?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's the Yankees are kind of in a he's not on the 40 man, right?
No, he is. I think.
He is?
I'll look it up.
Okay. Because if he's not on the 40 man, that makes it way more tricky. And I thought that was the reason why he hasn't been called up because he's just not on the 40 man. Uh, I mean, who the Yankees would have to send down, one of their position. Like, who do you send down?
He is on the 40 man.
Yes. Okay. So that makes things easier. So you're not losing, Albert Abreu or one of
It's
those pitchers. But
the only things you can do are either send down a pitcher, which you know how
mhm,
much they love, and we were just talking about possible 6 man rotation.
mhm,
Like I don't think they can afford to send down a pitcher because they're gonna have to start
mhm,
limiting innings for the starters.
yeah,
So then that leaves you with you either send down Marwin or IKF. You can't send down Marwin. You have the DFA Marwin or IKF does have options,
mhm,
but like you're probably not going to send down a guy that's making $6 million.
yeah,
So
yep.
like
And in a way, that kind of says your trade was a failure. Although that shouldn't, affect what you do now. But that trade kind of tells you it's like, oh, we screwed up. We should
yeah,
have never made that trade.
yeah, and it's frustrating. It's like so if you were the GM, would you rather send down IKF or DFA Marwin? It's because
I think you uh, send down IKF. He still has the options.
yeah,
You take him. I mean, realistically, Marwin isn't going to stay here past this year, anyways. So if you're thinking of it that way, but he gives you so much more flexibility. Which I
and
mean, I guess if you trade for Brandon Drury, then you just get, but then that's not helping because now you're adding more position players and
yeah,
not having a spot
and
for.
it's tough because like IKF sending him down would give you the option of if Oswald Peraza doesn't work out, you can just call
Mm-hmm,
IKF back up. But then like
mm-hmm,
that's gonna do so much to harm IKF's like everything if he gets sent down to AAA.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
just that's not gonna be good.
yeah. I think it brings. It's going to be another, Andujar situation where he'll just be upset, and it's like
But
I know it's a business, but it's like you're like, well,
but
I felt like.
it's different though because like Andujar lost his spot because he got hurt and then didn't
Mm-hmm,
perform when he came back.
mm-hmm,
And but IKF, we traded for him. He's been a major league player the last however many years. He's been productive. He
Mhm.
hasn't been horrible for us.
Mhm.
Like, there's no. The only reason to send him down is to see if Oswald Peraza's better.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, like, that's just such a terrible situation to be in.
Yeah.
But then you can't risk just, like, DFAing or trading IKF because then if Peraza doesn't work out, then you're just
Mhm.
screwed.
Yeah, because now you have no, and Marwin has been really great just playing
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean,
So,
and the one thing we do know is that Carpenter needs a spot in the Yankees lineup somehow.
yeah. I mean,
He's
playoff
been
time, he's probably. I think playoff time, you have to platoon Carpenter and Donaldson at DH. I think in the
mhm.
playoffs,
You
depending.
put DJ at third.
Yeah, I think the. Yeah. So I think the playoff lineup should be Trevino catching,
Mhm.
Rizzo first, Glaber second, IKF/Peraza at short, DJ at third, Stanton and Hicks like corner outfielders slash Hicks or an outfield that we trade for,
Mhm.
and then Judge in center, and then you platoon Carpenter and Donaldson. Donaldson is a okay, and so if Donaldson is playing, Donaldson plays third, and
Mhm.
DJ DHs
Mhm.
or Glaber DHs and DJ plays second either way. And
Mhm.
then if Carpenter is playing, DJ plays third, Carpenter DHs.
Okay.
Because Donaldson is a better defender than DJ, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So there's
agree.
no point of DHing Donaldson. But
Mhm.
Carpenter, I don't think is a good enough defender to not DH him.
Mhm.
But that means Stanton has to play the field
Mhm.
every single game, which
Yeah.
who
I
knows if
think I think he could do it come playoff time. Like
yeah.
I don't think like you need to get your best hitters on in
Yeah.
the lineup, and that just opens up the
And
Yankees lineup.
it'd come playoff time if one of Donaldson, Carpenter, DJ, or Glaber, if one of them's cold, that makes things easier because
Hmm.
you can just DH to Stanton at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Um, but so yeah, like and having Marwin on the bench in the playoffs is so valuable that we
Hmm.
can't lose him. So it's just
Yeah.
IKF is in just such a weird spot where he hasn't performed well enough to warrant not trying to improve that
Hmm.
position,
Hmm.
but he's not bad enough to make it easy to just send him down.
I mean, you know what would fix everything if we get rid of Gallo and
That wouldn't fix everything.
well, you get rid of Gallo for a reliever, and then you now we send down another reliever.
But I mean, then we only have three outfielders and
Marwin
Marwin as a
and
backup.
Carpenter has been playing outfield.
I mean, I don't want Marwin or Carpenter as a mostly everyday outfielder because Stanton's not playing the outfield every day. So I don't think just replacing Gallo is a very viable option, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it's IKF. IKF is the only option.
Okay. I mean it just sucks. I mean we need to see what the young guy has, and I think
Yeah,
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's tough. I wish IKF was playing a little bit better so we didn't have to worry about this, but his
Hmm.
defense hasn't been great and he hasn't been hitting. So
Hmm. Yeah.
he's played himself into this weird situation.
Yeah. Can, just something I was just thinking when we talk about relievers. So we said Robertson, we said Mantiply. Did we say Bard? He's a free agent.
Oh, yeah. He's
Bard's
been playing
a
pretty
guy.
well.
Yeah. And he's been doing it in cores, which is,
Hmm.
if you could succeed in cores, I mean, I think you could succeed in Yankee Stadium.
I think I would prefer someone like Mantiply or Chris Stratton or
Hmm.
David Robertson. Someone that's not going to be. I think Bard is going to be an expensive
Mm.
piece for
No,
as
yeah,
far as relievers go.
that makes sense.
Because when you have a
Yeah.
closer that's performing really well,
Hmm.
they're just going to have a higher value. Like I think
Yeah.
Bednard is going to be pretty expensive too.
Hmm. Same.
Did you? Oh, by the way, did you see that we signed
Oh,
Ricardo
yeah,
Rodriguez from?
Richard, yeah,
Yeah, that was interesting. But
yeah.
yeah, so I would be fine with trading for a reliever. It's definitely not
Hmm.
an area of extreme need, though.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think for me it goes starter, outfielder, and you can't. We already talked about it. You literally cannot improve shortstop
Yeah.
except internally.
Yep.
So trade for a starter, trade for an outfielder. Like if we can get Benintendi or Ian Happ,
And
like we're golden.
we're both in agreement that if there's an outfielder to get, it would be Hap.
Yeah, I think he's a better hitter and just about as good of a defender, if
Hmm.
not just as good. Benintendi's a
Hmm.
better contact hitter, which is it. It's good. I
Hmm.
mean, that would be nice to have in the lineup.
Hmm.
I would not be
Well,
upset at all if we got Benintendi,
yeah.
but
I
I would
mean,
prefer
he
Hap.
would be he would be what IKF you thought he would be, right? Like he's not going to be
Yeah,
a power guy, but he gets on base,
and
and
he
then he is
he
a lefty, so you
yeah.
would think there's more power there. But like just getting on base, just making things happen, he's a nice top of the lineup type of hitter.
I mean, like I knew IKF didn't have power, but
Hmm.
he's he has no power. Like he couldn't even come close to hitting in a home run against a position player, and he
Yeah,
got two at bats against him.
yeah,
And like it's it's shocking that he doesn't have a single home run this year.
hmm yeah. It's
He
yeah.
goes the
He has no
he goes
power.
opposite field so much, and
Hmm.
he hasn't managed to just short porch one at Yankee Stadium.
Hmm.
He has like
Yeah,
3 home runs this year, I think, that would have been home runs in at least like two or three other ballparks, but like that doesn't matter because he wasn't playing at them.
hmm
It's
yeah.
it's
I
shocking.
was I was just thinking like, has there been a hit where he like in Yankee Stadium where he hit it and you're like, oh, that's out? Like I don't think I've
Remember,
had that.
the closest I feel like he's come is the Emmanuel Clase double.
Oh, that's
That hit
right.
off like the
No, yeah,
top of
yeah,
the wall.
yeah.
That's
You
the
know, you're right.
closest he's
You're right.
come. And that was the beginning of the season.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Like he had I don't really like him anymore. It's
Hmm.
he
So,
hits into so many double plays. He's not that fast and his defense isn't that good.
yeah.
So it's just
Better
frustrating.
than Glaber last year, so it's still an improvement from
But
last year's, but he's not as advertised.
the thing is like I'd be fine if like with the fact that he can't really hit if
Hmm.
his defense was like Andrelton Simmons
Hmm.
or like just gold glove caliber defense.
Hmm.
Or I'd be fine if his defense was a little bit worse than we thought if he could hit at
Hmm.
all. But he
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Like he's not even hitting for that high of an average.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And he's
there's
not even
just
offsetting it by walking. Like if you're gonna do that, are you at
yeah,
least walking?
no,
And he's
he's
not.
not. And like Oswald Peraza had an absolutely abysmal first like month and a half of the
Hmm.
season, and his
Hmm.
OPS is still like solidly above IKF's.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's AAA, but like it's yeah, it's
Yeah.
frustrating. I just want to see what Oswald Peraza has. Like,
Hmm.
let
Just
him try. I mean, he has 18 stolen bases this year at AAA. Like
hmm
that's pretty good.
yeah. Volpe has been crazy, but
Yeah, I
something
I gotta look him up.
something that just during this Yankees like trip. So like obviously we swept the A's, but that wasn't a cakewalk. Like the A's made it tough on us. Like they that's something that like when we faced the A's and Pirates, you kind of just expected it to be like, you just sweep them and that's it. But
Hmm.
the A's made it tough on us. Like they got ahead. Like we had to come back. It was a close scoring game. The Pirates won game one. The second game was, what you would expect, but it wasn't, it wasn't what I expected, I guess. Even though
Yeah.
the end results looked
I
good.
mean, we beat the Pirates 16-0, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah. But that first game we
Yeah.
lost and it wasn't really competitive.
Yeah. It's been a weird stretch.
Hmm.
Like we said at the beginning, the starting pitching hasn't been what we need it to be, and hopefully they just need this break at the All-Star break, get a few days off, and bounce back. I mean, hopefully they bounce back next year against the Reds, but the Reds just swept the Rays, so we can't take
Yeah,
this
you can't. Yep.
lightly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention with Volpe. So like Peraza, Volpe had a horrible start to the year. He's almost up to an 800 OPS now. He has 35 stolen bases in 38 attempts,
Wow.
which is incredibly impressive for
Hmm.
like today's baseball. He only had 21 stolen bases last year. Or
Hmm.
wait, he had 33 last year between high A and low A, and
Hmm.
now he has 35 at double A. So he's got the
And
speed.
we're halfway through the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so oh, and then the last thing I think before we jump into like all-star stuff, Aaron Judge said on a little interview they did for Sunday Night Baseball, I think, one of the Red
Hmm.
Sox games this weekend, that he's open to discussing the contract during the season. He said hopefully we can get something done before the season's over.
Yeah,
So
which struck me and Ryan weird because it was like I thought they said like that was it. There was
yeah,
no unless we took it out of context or we misunderstood it. But like I thought like that's
yeah.
clearly what he said,
I
right?
mean, I think
Like
it's been widely accepted that he said if there's no deal, we're
yeah.
not doing it during the season. But
Hmm.
now it seems like he's open, so
Yeah.
that'd be a great trade deadline move to just get him extended, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. And
Yeah.
he can just play the rest of the season without having to worry about a
Hmm.
contract. Like after the All Star game, name him captain, extend him, and win
Hmm.
the World Series.
That
That's
would be
all we gotta
awesome.
do. But yeah, so that's an interesting little tidbit.
Hmm.
And I guess bouncing off Aaron Judge, he was the top vote getter in the American League, so he was automatically an All Star a couple weeks ago at this point, I think, or at least a week ago,
Hmm. That's
with
his
Acuna
fourth
in the
All Star
NL.
selection.
Yep, in 5 years, I think,
Yeah.
4, 5 or 6. And so Judge got selected. Um, Stanton won the third spot for the outfielders.
Yep. So Judge and Stanton are All Star
They
starters. They said that was the first time since uh 1980 that they
yeah,
had two Yankee outfielders start in an All Star game,
yeah,
which fitting. You have the Twin Towers right there.
yeah. And then our boy Jose Trevino, got selected as the backup catcher. I mean, if
Hmm.
you look up Trevino getting told he's getting to the All Star team, that was an awesome little clip from
Hmm.
Aaron Boone's office. I
Hmm.
think the Yankees uploaded it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the pitching side, Garrett
Got a
Cole,
couple.
Nestor, and Clay Holmes all made the All Star team. When Aaron Boone told Clay Holmes he made the All Star team, he was like, "All right, that's cool."
Yeah.
Like dude with like a five career ERA now is like the best closer in baseball, getting
Hmm.
named to the All Star game, and he's just
Hmm.
like, "All right, that's
Yeah,
cool."
he's like, yep.
And Garrett Cole is just kind of a mainstay at this point at the All Star game, and
Hmm.
Nestor's first All Star game, so that's awesome for
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Hopefully, it gives him the confidence to kind of rebound from his
Hmm.
recent struggles.
Yeah. So that's six Yankees in the All
It's the
Star
most
game.
in the MLB.
Yep, it's pretty
Yeah.
nice.
And then I think so. I'll go through. I'll name the All Star rosters really quick, and then let's talk about some of the most surprising misses, and then I guess the
Hmm.
people that actually made it. So for the
Hmm.
American League, they have Alejandro Kirk at catcher, Vladdy Jr. at first, Jose Altuve at second, Rafi Devers at third base, Tim Anderson at shortstop, Judge, Trout, and Stanton for the outfield, Otani for DH.
Hmm.
And then the reserves, we have Trevino, Luis Ariz from the Twins, Xander Bogarts, Jose Ramirez, Andres Jimenez from the Guardians, George Springer, Byron Buxton, Andrew Benintendi, Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, and Yordan Alvarez.
Hmm.
National League starters, Wilson Contreras, Paul Goldschmidt, Jazz Chisholm, Manny Machado, Trey Turner, Acuna, Betts, Jock Peterson, and Bryce Harper. Their reserves: Travis d'Arnaud, Nolan Arenado, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, CJ Crone, Dansby Swanson, Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, Starling Marte, Ian Happ, William Contreras. So that's a fun thing.
Yeah, both brothers.
Yep, their legacy pick was Albert Pujols. The legacy for the AL was Miguel Cabrera. American League
I had
pitch,
no idea that was even a thing.
yeah. Then real quick, American League pitchers: McClanahan, Nestor, Alec Manoah, Framber Valdez, Martin Perez, Paul Blackburn, Verlander, Cole, Otani, Clay Holmes, Clase, Soto, and Jorge Lopez. And then for the National League, Kershaw, Alcantara, Corbin Burns, Castillo, Max Fried, Tony Gonsolin, Joe Musgrove, Edwin Diaz, Josh Hader, Ryan Helsley, Dave Bednar, and Joe Mantiply. So that's a lot,
Yeah,
but
named a lot of players, but here's my snubs for AL and NL. So for AL, I think Logan Gilbert is my pick, and then on the National League side, I couldn't believe Austin Riley wasn't named an All Star.
yeah, I can't believe Ty France
Hmm.
wasn't an All Star.
Hmm.
That's that's
He
shocking.
he could have been the starter. I thought he was
Yeah,
the starter in the for over Vlad, but like I thought Logan Gilbert was just unbelievable that he was just left off altogether.
yeah, and I think Ty France got nubbed by the whole every team has to have one player because Luis
Hmm.
Ariz
Hmm.
was just the Twins' best player, so he makes it, and that takes up the first
Hmm.
base spot.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, there's another AL pitcher. Oh
Robbie
no,
Ray.
NL Carlos Rodon. That
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
another
yeah.
big snub. Carlos Rodon probably should have been in, but it was
Mhm. Yeah.
another situation where Luis Castillo was having a worse year than Rodon, but the Reds have to have a player, so
Hmm.
Castillo ended up as that player.
It's kind of crazy that Drury wasn't picked as the Reds representative, even over Castillo. I know Castillo's, the pitcher, but
Well,
that
I mean, do you think Drury's better than Nolan Arenado or Manny Machado?
yeah, I guess not.
So I think that's the logic there.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, Drury could make it. Isn't Machado hurt, or was his injury not bad?
No, he's back playing.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
must have missed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's not horrible. I think Jordan should be the starter over Otani, but
Hmm.
I
Yeah, but
mean,
now he's injured. He has a hand
that's
injury,
true.
so.
And Harper also is hurt, so he's not going to be
Hmm.
playing.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some reserve players that end up
Hmm.
getting on the All Star team. I mean,
Hmm.
Matt Carpenter should be an All Star because he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think Glaber has a decent right to be an All Star. Like,
I think King, you could make a case for him as
oh,
a
he should
reliever.
be.
Hmm.
That's another one where like every team needs a player. Mike
Hmm.
King is better than Gregory Soto and
Yeah,
maybe
I
Jorge
agree.
Lopez.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Lopez has that same situation where Chapman at the time, like Chapman was deserving of an all-star, but then you look at what he did the last couple of days, like
yeah,
that's where it goes, where like relievers are so volatile. It's like
yep,
game to game, you never know.
yeah. But our time's running out here, so
Hmm.
that's kind of our ideas of the All Stars. Oh, Juan Soto, good for him. I think a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
are thinking he's having a bad year. Go check out his baseball reference. He's not. He's an 870 OPS, which is a little bad for him, but not bad.
Hmm.
He's leading the league
Hmm.
in walks. Has almost a 400 OBP. But yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. Um, or check us out on Twitter and Instagram at the Bronx Story. And as always, let's go Yanks.
Let's go Yankees. Let's play ball. Let's get back to winning.
All right. See you guys.